This video is going to be a film study look at yet another big-time performance by Rashod Bateman for the Baltimore Ravens offense, this time in Week 15 against the Giants. Clearly, they were overmatched from a personnel standpoint, who they had out on the field. But if you just look at the progression of games that Rashod Bateman has put up in 2024, really his second year in a row that he's been completely healthy, the guy makes big plays. He has to be considered a big play wide receiver at this point. He had 3 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Giants yesterday. Could have very easily had a third if there's not some pressure that Lamar Jackson's having to deal with on a third quarter pass down the middle of the field. He was injured against the Eagles 2 weeks ago, so this is a big rebound because coming out of that loss, clearly Ravens fans, myself included, were frustrated, would have preferred for the team to only have four losses, stay a little bit closer, a little bit tighter to the Pittsburgh Steelers for the AFC North race, possibly getting a home game in the wild card round or even the division. For him to come back after that injury, it wasn't serious, obviously. He practiced, I think, the first practice of the week this past week. Calms Ravens fans' minds, maybe, but definitely reminds us that we have a big play receiver out there as our number 2 guy, whatever pecking order you want to provide or evaluate in terms of Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, and Rashod Bateman. Those guys are all coming on and have a high efficiency numbers as we get down to the end of the regular season. He now has 7 touchdowns in 2024. Along with that, he's 5th in the league in yards per catch. He's right up there with guys like Jameson Williams, Christian Watson, Jordan Addison, and in fact, he's got a comparable number of catches. Addison, out of that group of 4 I just named you, is the only guy who has more than 40 catches. Bateman has 38 catches this year, 63% catch percentage, almost 64. He's a big play guy. 3 different games this year, including the Giants yesterday, he has had catches of 40 yards or more, and a 4th against the Chiefs in Week 1. He had a 38-yard reception in the 4th quarter that was important as we tried to come back. Let's get to the film. And we'll start off with his first touchdown. Comes near the end of the first quarter. We're up 7-0. Or early second quarter, excuse me. We're up 7-0, and this is a 2nd and 11. Now, this is going to be what I call 4 to a side. So Justice Hill is lined up on our left, the left-hand side of the offense, but he's going to release to the opposite side of the formation, and that has some impact on the coverage. You can see the inside linebacker flying out of there with Justice Hill into the flats. Mark Andrews, primary protection out on the edge, and what we end up with is 4 receivers to a side, one of which happens to be Justice Hill. You've got Aguilar on the back side, Flowers the deeper out. Essentially, this is flood, if you ask me. And then Bateman turning the safety around, top left portion of your screen, which is where Lamar is looking on that play. And in this case, it's Bateman deep over the top of Zay Flowers, if you will. And he had run a great route to get that safety turned around and then bring it back to essentially almost function like a corner concept. Same play from the end zone angle. Andrew's going to motion across, and he's the only guy that stays into block here. I think this is cool usage, because Andrews is our top threat from a consistency standpoint and reliability, I guess, in big moments, man-to-man situations. We keep him into block on this 2nd and 11. Lamar reads it with the running back crossing the face of the outside linebacker, drawing this guy's attention. And so Lamar is just reading Mark Andrews here, meaning he's responding or reacting to that type of block. If the guy was to go top side here, outside, then Lamar would probably settle and look to make the throw somewhere around the hash. As it stands, because that edge defender went to the inside or Mark Andrews took over to the outside, Lamar is able to push towards the sideline more flat and not necessarily settle his feet. I've always said this that he throws the football like a Major League Baseball shortstop at times down the field, and in this case gets it out there to Bateman. Lamar's got the ability to throw off of, multiple NFL quarterbacks do, don't get me wrong, but this is just something about him that I have noticed for years. He's very comfortable moving to his right and or to his left to throw the football, and in this case it ends up being on target. Puts us up 14-0. Rashod Bateman, 49-yard touchdown, somewhat similar to a touchdown he had against the Jets in 2022, except instead of being emanating from the right-hand side, it was a right-to-left concept. Same stadium, if I recall correctly. We're now into the second quarter, and I love this concept. This route has been there for us for years. And Lamar, 3 times in this game yesterday, and I think twice against the Eagles, is taking it a little bit sooner than trying to work the ball downfield. Andrews running the over concept. We brought that route many times across the field from right to left against the Giants and against the Eagles as well. So we're talking about here, Lamar, I think maybe 0.1 seconds could get this ball out slightly sooner because he's looking for Andrews and or Zay Flowers, kind of like on this angled stop, deeper angled stop, and then underneath you have Bateman wide open underneath the coverage. It's a 2nd and 10. This is the type of route that I have heard people for years on social media or even on my channel say, you can't throw that because they're going to make the tackle. Get the ball to athletes out in space. Let them make moves. And when I say that this is a little bit late, this is what I mean. Bateman has to settle his feet and get to the football. I feel like we're in a better situation if we get the ball to him just ever so slightly sooner and let him run underneath and set the tackler up in order to make his move or perhaps juke or run to the sideline. This will be his 2nd touchdown, 2nd and 10, into the 1st and 10, in the 2nd quarter. Same drive as that drag just occurred on. And I want to point out this setup. So likely motioning from right to left, top to bottom for us, and then motioning to Bateman. So this is a touchdown, and I'm going to pull this back after a minute and show you a route from earlier in the game that really looks conceptually similar, almost the exact same setup. In this case, Lamar gets it to Bateman, who toe taps, or actually, I guess I'd like to see him toe tap to get that first step down another time. Inside linebacker pushing to the flats, other inside linebacker trying to match the over concept by Andrews. What they're trying to do is free up the safety to help out with whatever he sees, and I think that he's got to get a little bit more width, but he's got the threat of the over concept from the other side, so it's difficult to match up with. This corner is the guy that Lamar, in my opinion, ends up reading. Earlier in the game, Lamar had hit that route to Likely. He will do a ever so slight pump here, and that holds that corner. Right here, he pumps a little bit, and you can see this corner's putting his foot in the ground, and he's responding to that. So Lamar knows where he's going to go with it, over the top, quick, immediate reaction, great read, great throw. The timing of the throws was perfect yesterday. The accuracy was, but the pace as well. This one put us up 21-7. I'll show you the same play from the end zone angle here. Again, you'll get Likely motioning across right to left. And I'll run this back a couple of times so you can see Lamar just thereafter I pause this, or unpause this, I should say. His slight little move holds that corner. And as a result, it opens up Bateman even more. So what I mean is this corner here was held by that slight move from Lamar and gave him a little bit more of a window to get that ball out to Bateman. Beautiful touchdown in the 2nd quarter. Bateman's 2nd of the quarter, in fact. Now, this is earlier in the game, and I want to compare this to the touchdown. Slightly different coverage by the Giants. This ends up being 3 deep, 3 under, in my opinion. Almost like a zone blitz. Nickel defender. This might be Simmons. I could be wrong there. Blitzing off the edge. So it's a 5-man rush by the Giants. Same motion by Likely. Down to the bottom side of the screen. 3 deep, 3 under. Inside linebacker, essentially same positioning. Now the corner is deep. It's 3 deep, 3 under if you trust or believe in what I'm telling you in terms of the coverage. So he's not sitting as flat as he was the next time that we ran this route, the touchdown to Bateman that I just showed you. But this just sets it up, if you ask me. Look at the corner's reaction. As Lamar starts to pull back and throw the football, he's reacting to Bateman. And as a result, Likely's open underneath, breaks 1 tackle, powers through the corner to that side. Kind of sets up the touchdown, if you ask me. Moving forward here to the 3rd quarter, a missed opportunity for us, unfortunately. I think it's 28-7. It may be 21-7 here, so perhaps that score is wrong. It's a corner blitz. So the DB off of Bateman is going to rush, and Bateman gets behind the safety. I think it's poorly played by the safety on the other side of the field here. Play action, you can see that the corner forces Lamar to step up a little bit. Stanley kind of rides him out of there. And again, you've got Andrews on the over concept. I think this is what Lamar is looking for right at this moment as I have it paused. I might be wrong. And as a result of defensive tackle, Linderbaum kind of riding him out of there. And then late, another D tackle kind of gets in the window a little bit that I think Falele is dealing with. I mean, those two guys stonewalled him, Linderbaum and Falele here, but it almost kind of impacts Lamar's ability to throw this ball. And Bateman was wide open because of the poor angle, poor depth, I should say, that safety played with. Belton was able to undercut it only because Lamar, when he was trying to throw, had to navigate a little bit of pressure, just couldn't get enough on it at that moment in time, and left really, I think, a possibility for a third touchdown out there on the field for Rashod Bateman. Let you see the same play from the end zone angle. 5-man pressure. Again, the quarterback, the corner is going to blitz off screen to our left. Linderbaum and Falele are dealing with defensive tackles one-on-one. Here and here. Lamar has to step up because of the corner blitz, which brings him right into Linderbaum. He's got to sidestep a little bit. And as he goes to throw this football, you can see that the defensive tackle is just able to get his hand close enough such that I think it doesn't allow Lamar to drive directly in the direction of the throw. Kind of almost stepping here, but trying to throw there. I think he's just trying to clear his hips, clear his body, get away from the potential for a forced fumble. Just not enough on the football. Unfortunate from a Rashod Bateman standpoint. Didn't matter because we ended up going down and scoring. I think that's the drive where we get the touchdown to Des Walker. I have to mention this play before we get back to Bateman film from earlier in 2024, just to illustrate how much of a big play threat he's become. This is ridiculous by Lamar. This is Nelson Aguilar's completion in the third quarter. Free rusher, that's Kayvon Thibodeau. It doesn't get any more athletic, big, fast, and strong than him. He hasn't had as great of a season this year as a result of injuries as he had last year. I think he had 11.5 sacks in 2023, only 3.5 this year. Lamar is booting in this direction. Thibodeau closes that off, and Lamar's slight pump fake gets him up in the air. This is just sick. That little pump fake gets him in the air, then throws it almost like a goalpost between his arms. Aguilar leaping, brilliant catch, I think goes down for 26 yards. End zone angle, same play, so you can see it. Thibodeau is off to our left-hand side, spot shadowed there. We are walking or moving all the offensive linemen to our right, as well as Andrews. You can see oftentimes those guys will chip and then release back to the play side as a late, to the boot side, I should say, as a late security valve. Lamar's understanding of the routes that he had yesterday against the Giants was sick. The pace that he put on the ball was the top of the food chain, if you ask me. The accuracy, everything was there. Yeah, we're playing against an inferior opponent from a talent standpoint on this day. No disrespect to the Giants. They're missing a lot of players on defense. Lamar put everything right where it needed to be. To relate it to Bateman, I don't know about you. I was a little surprised to see that he's 5th in the league in yards per catch. It's not like he's just running by people. He's taking advantage of the opportunities that are there. This is, I believe, 4th quarter against the Chiefs, against the zone concept. Lamar floats it up there outside of the cover 2 safety. Bateman able to go get it for 38 yards. He's just been a big play guy all year long. We did have the missed opportunity in Pittsburgh, clearly, where he's looking into the sunlight, unable to catch the football, hits him in his face mask, I believe. Other than that, we've been rock solid in 2024 with Bateman. I would have liked to have seen him take this to the house. That is Zion McCollum he's trying to run away from, who's a ridiculously athletic dude. I remember seeing this live and thinking, okay, looks a little gassed. Looks like he doesn't have the same 5th gear that maybe he had against the Dolphins in 2022. If you remember the slant early in the game against Xavier Howard that went for, I believe, 75 yards. Would you have taken, if someone offered it to you at the beginning of the year, hey, Rashod Bateman is going to end up with 50, 54 catches, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns, because it looks like that's where we're headed, and average 16, 17, 18 yards per catch? I think we all would prefer for him to have more than 50, 52 catches. Somewhere in that range is what he's projected to have at this point. He's got 38 right now on 60 targets. Like I said, 63.6% completion percentage. Looks like we're going to come in somewhere around that 50 number with the amount of games we have remaining. But for him to be averaging 17.2 yards per catch and pushing 10 touchdowns, I think is a win for him, for this organization, for Lamar Jackson, and for the front office. We've made some mistakes. Clearly, the offensive line is inferior. We, at the guard position, that's our worst position, I think, across the entirety of the roster right now as it stands late in 2024. I think there's been some mistakes made there, whether it's building depth, whether it's pick 93. I hate to keep mentioning that, but with the amount of offensive line depth that was out there, for us to at least not take shots until we drafted Samek later, who is a center, I think was a little bit of dereliction of duty. Maybe that's too strong of a phrase to provide there. I think our front office did not do a great job there. Having said that, for them to secure Bateman, I believe for 3 years, I may be wrong. I think it was 3 years, 15 million. I think is just brilliant. Smart to invest in a talent that is now paying off. If we could get this consistency of production from him each of the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's an absolute win for the Ravens front office. I don't mean the drafting of him in the first round. I mean the signing of him, re-signing of him this year to secure him at a low cost. If he is to put up 10 touchdowns this year and average 17.2 yards per catch, could we have signed him for the same salary structure that we did prior to 2024? I don't know. I just know that I'm glad to be able to watch him perform, be healthy, make big plays against quality opposition. Of course, yesterday the Giants were overmatched against our offense, as witnessed by the 5 touchdowns that we scored in a row. I think Bateman is a guy who makes plays against some of the best DBs in the NFL, some of the most athletic guys. He didn't face those yesterday, but he just continued a trend of making big plays and putting up touchdowns. He's got 7 now on the year. Looks like we're headed for possibly double digits. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed my thoughts on the Rashod Bateman season in 2024, but specifically his performance against the Giants in Week 15, please let me know in the comment section. If you're unaware or not or didn't know, likes and comments drive the engagement for all of our videos, the people that create content for the Ravens or otherwise. So please consider liking and commenting if you haven't done so already. And finally, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this content, the film that I chose, and the commentary that I provided to run alongside to try to illustrate and explain how well I think Rashod Bateman is playing, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.